All right, so now that we have some of the vocabulary down, why don't we try to apply it? So this section is called application. What if we had this? Let's say we had 1 to the 6th power. All right, so let's expand that. Right now it's in exponential notation. Let's see what that looks like if it were to be expanded. So that would be 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. Then, if I asked us to evaluate it, I would actually want to know what this quantity is representing. In this case, 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 just gives us a big old 1 at the end, all right? So this is the evaluated, here, this is expanded here, all right? And this right here is in our exponential notation, okay? All right, let's continue on with something else. Let's say that I had -1 in parentheses. Remember we talked about what that parentheses meant, squared, all right? All right, so let's go through our expansion. That would mean that everything that is inside the parentheses is considered a base, which means that the base is being acted upon by this exponent, which is a 2, which is saying that we want the base of -1 to be multiplied against itself 2 times here. So this is what it looks like expanded. All right, now if we were to evaluate this, -1 times -1, remember a negative times a negative is going to be a positive. So we're left with a positive 1. And it assumes that if you don't write a positive 1 or a positive in front of a number, it's just considered positive. So if you want, you can just write that right there, and that's totally fine. You could write a positive 1 if you wanted to. All right? All right, let's try another one. How about -1 cubed, or to the 3rd power? Let's expand that. So that would be -1 times -1 times -1. All right, so here we have negative times a negative is a positive. So this right here would be a positive 1, okay? Now we're going to multiply what this is, which is a positive 1 times -1. A positive 1 times a -1 ends up being a -1. So we would evaluate -1 in parentheses all to the 3rd power as being -1. So that's some application.